Hi everybody. Today we're having Melissa Lopez. She's a belly dancer here in the Cleveland area. You know what? Instead of me doing the talking, I'll let her explain a little bit about her belly dance.
The type of belly dance that I do is tribal fusion belly dance, which is actually a pretty recent form of belly dance, and it's a very American form of belly dance that started around the late 80s in San Francisco. There was a woman named Carolina Naricchio, and she created a style of belly dance that combined traditional forms of belly dance, but also movement from the entire African diaspora. There is also movement from flamenco dance included, especially the upper body carriage. And then she created a costume design that was a combination of all those things as well, with heavy textiles. So the costumes that we wear are very different than more traditional belly dancers, which are very lifted and more ballet-like. But the key to this style of belly dance that Carolina created is that it's improvisational group dancing. So in this original format, it's called American Tribal Style Belly Dance. There are never soloists. You often have a duet, a trio, or a quartet, and then a chorus of dancers that support them. And there's a lead dancer who, through subtle cues of eye contact and body, cues the movements. So they all know the vocabulary, but the lead dancer, who changes, so the lead also changes during a performance, they get to call the shots. And so what developed was this really intimate, beautiful community of dancers and women who came together not only to dance, but came together to be together. And some of my first experiences seeing this American tribal style was often that I just felt lucky that I got to be there. It often feels as if they're dancing with each other. And then my teacher, Rachel Bryce, she came out of that style of dance. So she took that vocabulary, and then she also had, Rachel Bryce, my teacher, had some experience in more traditional cabaret style and Egyptian style dancing. And she created this combination and then made a solo dance style out of it. And so the tribal fusion that we do here at the Hive is this combination of the American tribal style, the style that Rachel has created, which is called Datura style, and then me, my style, which is, I have trouble describing exactly what the style is that I do. When I teach my classes, I try to teach solid technique so that the women can create their own expression of this dance form, which is growing every day and changes every day. So yeah.
It's crazy. Like when I saw your performance, your dance, it's kind of like between belly dance, a ballet, and it also felt like you did some break dancing.
Yeah, there's a little hip hop in there too.
Yeah, that was really good. Your movements, it's so controlled.
So I talk about my teacher because through the internet and DVDs and things, I've been able to live here in Elyria, in Cleveland, in this little tiny place, but still be able to study the technique of these master dancers. So I actually taught myself how to dance. I had no formal dance training, and my daughter was 4, and I'd been dancing at drum circles. I'd been dancing at drum circles, and people kept saying, "You should teach." And I kept thinking, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just dancing at a drum circle having fun. And my daughter was about 4, and she was taking dance classes, and there was a sign up that said, "Dance instructors needed." So I went down to the office, and I said, "Are you interested in a belly dance instructor?" I don't know why I said that. I mean, there were women who belly danced at the circles, and some people said that was something I did, but I really had no idea. And I left a half hour later. I had signed a contract, and I had 4 weeks to figure out what I was going to do.
Wow.
And so that's how I discovered this community in San Francisco. They had Carolina and Fat Chance Belly Dance. That's her company, her dance company, had released instructional DVDs. So I taught myself enough that I could teach 2 classes. I told the women, I was like, this is my story. And they were so inspired that I was teaching myself. They were working so hard. I had to work really hard those first few months to stay ahead of them because they were so invigorated. And because I feel like I wasn't working directly with a teacher, and my initial dance experience was at a drum circle where there are no rules, right, about dancing. I feel like I have cultivated this deep relationship with my body and the way that my body wants to communicate. Plus, I love belly dance. And so I really love all dance. I would do, if somebody wants to dance with me and there's decent music, I'm going to dance. It's just so fun. And so I feel like my personal style of dance is a combination of that.
Okay.
It's all kinds of things. And I love modern dance and I love ballet and I love dancing. I feel like all of life is a dance and that I get to make up my own and interact with an audience. I think they have a lot to do with what I end up doing.
Now, how did you actually start with dancing in general? Like, at what age you felt like?
I was 29 when I danced at that drum circle for the first time. So I grew up my family's Puerto Rican. And so I grew up, dancing with my family, like always.
So you've been dancing salsa and merengue, bachata and stuff like that?
Yeah, stuff like that. I didn't know that that's what it was. It's just what you did. Like, it's just what we did together. And I mean, my family's really large, and when I was a little girl, they would put me on the table so I could dance from the time I was really tiny. So it always felt like a form of self-expression for me. But I was a musician. I took piano lessons as a kid. My mom was like, "You're not dancing, you're playing the piano." And so I played piano for a really long time. And it wasn't until I was old enough to and I got taken to a drum circle. That's what happened. When I was about 29, a friend took me to a drum circle, and I'd never seen it before. And I walked into this circle, and there was a man dancing by himself, and his shirt was unbuttoned, and he was like doing this kind of thing. And I was like, I took my jacket off and my shoes off, and I walked in and I started dancing with him. And that was probably one of the first times that I felt like I was actually in my body, not just sort of a spectator. It's a tricky experience to describe, but I knew that that's what I had to do.
You felt the moment.
I did.
This is yours.
Yeah, exactly. I thought, and I felt in so much control of my body, but still open to the music.
Yeah.
It was potent. It was a potent experience for me, and it changed my life forever.
Yeah, this is something that I feel when I play the drum, or how I started playing drum. Since I was a kid, I love banging on everything.
Right, yeah.
And I told that's another thing. I told my mom, I want to learn how to play the drums. And I went to the school and asked them. And they said, yeah, you need to come for a test. And I went to the test. I got accepted. Then I went home and told my mom, hey, I want to start taking drum lessons. She's like, no, you're going to take piano.
That's it. Yeah. Thank goodness, though. I feel like piano lessons, if you can play the keyboard, if you can play piano, you can do so much. Yeah. Just the way that it programs your brain and the way that you look at the world. And I think I'm so grateful for my piano lesson experience, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely was knowledgeable, but it wasn't me. It's like, okay, I get it, but it's not me.
Right, right.
And when I'm playing the drum, I don't even need to think.
Exactly, and that's how I feel with dancing. And piano was just so stressful. And I went to college. For piano, and it was horrible. It was the worst thing ever. I couldn't wait to be done with school. It was bad.
Yeah, I know the feeling.
It was bad.
Yeah. So, have you done any other things beside the belly dance?
So, I've had a pretty circuitous route when it comes to my professional career. I taught piano for a long time. I did that until right about the time when I danced at the drum circle for the first time. So I went to this drum circle for about a year every week. It was late on a Thursday night, and I was a dedicated person. I was there all the time. I was working at a church at that time. I was the director of Christian education, and I was working with the choirs. I was the choir director for the kids. I was the children's choir director. And I talked to my pastor about the experience that I had dancing at the drum circle, and he said, "Oh, well, you should dance here." I was like, "What? We can't do this." He's like, "No, you can totally dance at the church." So I created a sacred movement, a liturgical dance group, and we danced to spoken word, and we danced to music as well, and I got to participate in some national events that connected me to a sexuality education curriculum that this church, the national church, was creating. It's the United Church of Christ, and the program is called Our Whole Lives. And it's a kindergarten through aged through senior curriculum around sexuality. And the title of the curriculum, Our Whole Lives, it really describes this program, which was another big piece. This was all happening at the same time that I was dancing for the first time. And this curriculum talked about justice and inclusivity. It talked about the body as something that was a gift and precious. It talked about sexuality as a means of expressing oneself in more than just procreation, but also that we are sexual beings, and our senses are part of that, right? And it also talked about personal responsibility, like what it means to be a sexual being. And I felt like, I was like around 30 when I'm learning about this stuff, and I felt like it was the first time I was ever talking about it. And dancing for the first time, and getting to teach women about this dancing stuff, and teaching the curriculum. I trained adults to teach children this curriculum. So I was working primarily with adults at this time, and I discovered so much about myself, and I just started to feel more comfortable in my skin. So I was teaching that curriculum, and I got noticed on a national level. I was training nationally, and I got hired. Husband and wife team called Sexuality Discussed Here. They hired me, and I got to, in addition to doing all this Our Whole Lives things and training, I got to do lectures at colleges and universities on female sexuality. So it was this wild program. It was a 90-minute program. It was called I Heart Female Orgasm. And oftentimes colleges would bring us in at night because it was funny. It was like it was a kind of a comedic thing. So it was myself and one of the creators, Marshall Miller. And we would, under the umbrella of female sexuality, we would normalize people's sexual experience, basically. And I talked to rooms full of like 800 kids, and we would take questions right there, live questions that you'd have to answer, but all of the hands, Shai, like it was eye-opening to see these young people who were so hungry for information, how much misinformation they had, how detrimental our sexualization of women's bodies especially, how detrimental that is to everyone, not just women, but to men as well. And this was before gay marriage was legal in the United States. We were talking about these things as things that we wanted to happen. It felt like a huge blessing to be able to be amongst these young people and give them information that I wish that I had had. So I got to write some curricula for that. It's a really cool program. It's a secular program and a faith-based program. So you can actually use the secular piece of it in community organizations. There are schools in the country that use it. And then when you use it in church, there's a faith-based component that helps you interpret the information. And so I got to write the faith-based component for one of the grade levels. Yeah, so my name, I'm a published author.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, and then once all of that once I was finished with all of that, that's when I started the studio. That's a lot of information I
Yeah,
just gave
yeah,
you.
it's good. You did a lot, and experience. There's nothing can take away the experience you had.
Right. Yeah.
There's a difference between learning something from a book or by watching someone else than having your own experience. It's like you can have one day of your own experience and you can read like 1,000 books. It's not going to give you that experience.
Right, so true. One of my teachers, Prudence, she told me once, she's like, teach what you know. She's like, what you know is what your life experience is. And she said, she told me this, I was young, I was like in my early 20s, and she says, teach what you know. And I feel like my life is based on that learning, like just share your experience. And,
Absolutely.
And the people who relate to it will benefit.
Absolutely.
And I benefit,
Yeah, that's what I do too. I share the love and I love teaching and do whatever I can to help.
Yes, like this. This is awesome. This is so good.
And when I do it, I learn more about myself and I grow more. So it helps. It goes around.
It's true. I teach because I want to learn. I mean, I love to learn about everything. As we've been creating this new studio space, I've learned about how to drill into cement walls, and how to put floor down and things. I mean, I'm just hungry to learn. And so teaching other people is an excuse for me.
So as for teaching and studying and everything, besides teaching belly dance, you also teach yoga, right? Why the change? Or what? Okay, so this is the end of part 1. Now go click on part 2 to watch more exciting stuff about the amazing and wonderful Melissa Lopez. Why I have to say like Melissa Lopez? I don't know, but go watch it. She's wonderful, she's great, and don't forget to subscribe down there or there, wherever it is, and I'll see you next time. Yay, next time.